seems like this year was building up towards 2019 and to a much lesser extent 2020, I will definitely be doing another one of these videos, so expect another one like this in 2019. Welp, what did I tell you? So for those of you who are new here, last year I did a show called Year of the Monsters, where I cataloged most of the kaiju news that came out in 2018. Movies, books, and figures were all talked about. Nothing was safe. If it had anything to do with kaiju, it was covered. The series was fairly successful, and while most episodes got around 300 to 500 views, some of them were actually quite popular. One of these videos was the 2018 Retrospective, where I gave my thoughts on all the news I covered that year. And at the end, I gave a promise that I would do another video like this at the end of 2019. And well, here we are at the tail end of 2019, ready to talk to you about all the cool things that came out this year. So let's jump right on into the 2019 Year of the Monsters Retrospective. So just to give a quick thoughts on everything that happened this year, it was pretty freaking sweet. I said that last year was more quantity over quality. We got more stuff, but less of it was actually good, with only 2 of the films that we got last year I'd actually say are good movies. This year though, to put it simply, we don't deserve this. For how much Bolshevik this community throws out, we don't deserve any of this. This year was absolutely bopping with all the stuff that was released for it. From the year's beginning to its end, it was a string of endless surprises. But enough of me explaining, how about I tell you all the awesome things that came out this year. So, let's officially begin our Year of the Monsters 2019 retrospective. So, kicking off this year, we got Godzilla the Planet Eater, and all I can say is, wow, this is awesome. You actually hate this? So most of my points for this section can still be summed up from the review I did way back when the film came out. So I'll try and keep my thoughts brief. Planet Eater takes all the positives from Planet of the Monsters and City on the Edge of Battle and had them brought up to another level yet again, still having the awesome soundtrack, gorgeous animation, and fantastic monsters that we all knew from the previous films, while adding more complex human drama and great themes to make a pretty great Godzilla film. Hiro Sakaki and Metphys are still some of my favorite human characters in the entire Godzilla series, and while I don't really think that the motives of Metphys are all that well thought out, I still do enjoy him as this story's antagonist. This version of King Ghidorah is easily the best version that we have gotten in any Godzilla film. Get that Monsterverse cringe out of here. Noodle Lad is Ghidorah at his peak. I love the genuine Lovecraftian fear that accompanies him in all of his scenes, with his attack on the Aerodrome easily ranking among the best scenes in the entire Godzilla series. And while the fight between him and Godzilla is uneventful, it is at least visually stunning, bringing out some of the best visuals in the entire trilogy, if not the entire series. And finally, the last 15 minutes of the film are just so good, with Godzilla's victory against Ghidorah as well as Hiro's sacrifice being 2 of the greatest scenes in the entire trilogy. I'm glad to see that this is generally regarded by most Godzilla fans to be the anime film that is, quote-unquote, the good one, because I do think it has some of the best elements in the entire Godzilla series. And I'm glad to see that this bizarre little anime trilogy got to end on such a high note. A few months and a few hundred King of the Monsters TV spots later, and we arrive at the Ultraman anime. I don't like the Ultraman anime. Initially, I wasn't impressed by the trailers that Netflix put out. The animation looked really bad and awkward to watch. Why is it done in motion capture? And I wasn't a fan of the show's aesthetic. If it's a sequel to the 1966 Ultraman, then why don't the CG models look like their 1966 counterparts? But I didn't really know how it would turn out. Awkward aesthetics don't always lead to bad shows. Except this time it does. If you want a general rundown of my thoughts, I thought it was generic and bland at its least bad and downright frustrating at its worst. I want to save most of my thoughts for the second season that's going to drop this April, but if you want to know more in-depth thoughts on the show, then you can watch the podcast I did with NDK Films when the show came out. But as of right now, I don't think it's very good, and I don't like it. And now, it's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
It was like, my relationship with the movie now is complicated. The short story is that it's a guilty pleasure. The long story, let's get into that. I both love and hate King of the Monsters. I love it because I have great memories and experiences about this movie, and also because I think there are really great things in it. I hate it because it's not a very good movie. Let me rattle off some of the things that I don't like about this movie. The fact that massive superweapons don't have any effect on the world itself being built off of fan service and not actually trying to be cohesive. The fact that every human character is either serviceable to the plot at best or horribly written at worst. Physics that don't make any goddamn sense. Nuclear themes. I would want to go more in depth with these issues, but we'd literally be here all day dissecting all of them. And plus, I have this video to edit before New Year's Eve, so I literally don't have the time. That's what my rewrite's for. Sam the Geigen Fan presents a rewriting Godzilla King of the Monsters, coming May 31st, 2020. But even with all these criticisms aside, I love this stupid little movie. The novelty alone of being able to see Godzilla alongside his greatest monster co-stars is just so freaking cool and brings out a childlike sense of heck yeah that I can't really put into words. Also, if there was anything to come out of the over-bloated and ridiculous ad campaign for this movie, it's that incredible final trailer. I'm not even kidding when I say this is probably my favorite trailer of all time. I get chills every time I watch it. Not to mention that I was able to see this movie surrounded by Godzilla fans at G-Fest this past summer, which was absolutely insane. I'm sure you guys have seen the sing-along and the theater reactions that were uploaded to YouTube at this point, which also means you guys have heard me go absolutely feral during certain scenes. Yes, that's actually me. Our group sat right in front of D-Man 1954, so he got all of our reactions. And now these cries are immortalized forever thanks to the internet. So yeah, this movie means a lot to me. I like it a lot. Horrifically flawed, yes, but it'll always have a special place in my heart. But with a year so overly dominated by one single film, can there possibly be anything that can somehow be able to come close to the insane levels of hype that King of the Monsters has gotten? Yeah, that ought to do it. Ning Dong Jellyfish Evangelican got an absolute overhaul of crazy ass stuff. So, let's talk about it all. So, the biggest thing that happened this year for Eva is that it has finally become available to the streaming market thanks to Netflix dropping the entire series, plus Death and End of Evangelion, onto their platform earlier this summer. Finally, we can witness the depression and unbridled terror in crisp 1080p, as well as the awkward literal translations.
You're worthy of my grace.
Your grace?
I'm saying I like you.
So, do you like him or do you like him? Honestly though, I don't mind the translations. They're all overwritten by the sheer excitement of these series finally being out for people to enjoy throughout the world. And that right there is a cause for celebration. But do you know what's even more worthy of celebration? How about the fact that 3.0 plus 1.0 is finally happening? Oh my god! Over the summer, the first 10 minutes of the final rebuild of Evangelion movie were presented all around the world, and it wasn't too shabby, honestly. It was a pretty cool action scene with great animation and great music, so bada bing bada boom, my primordial Eva senses have been fulfilled. And then a few weeks after that, we finally got another trailer which showed a lot of cool things, including a new and improved Unit 2, the Wunder cleaving through the skies, while circling around yet another impact in Kaiju again. Cause why not? So I'm excited and I can't wait until 2073 to finally be able to watch it. Even Godzilla was able to get in on the Eva action with the Godzilla vs. Evangelion ride at Universal Japan. And it's really cool. Shin Godzilla fighting the Eva units was really fun to watch, and it was super cool seeing two of my favorite series collide with each other for the first time. Wait a minute! Okay, this is awesome now. So, this ride comes with its own version of King Ghidorah, and remember when I said that anime Ghidorah was my favorite film version of the character? This is my favorite version of Ghidorah, period. I love this design and how it goes the Anno redesign route of going back to concept art and making a new design from something older. I love the way this thing moves. It slithers through the air like a snake and it looks so freaky. And finally, probably my favorite thing about him, his gravity beams actually affect gravity. Not only does it finally bring the gravity portion of the gravity beams into light for the first time, but this also allows for the look of the ride to be so much more unique than just a standard destroyed city at night. So yeah, best version of King Ghidorah ever. Changed my mind. And then, it was all quiet on the kaiju front. Nothing much happened after those events. Until... Damn, Criterion, you're the real MVP! So, Criterion just pulls up to the Showa Godzilla menu and he's just like, yes, I'll have one of everything. So that's what he was given. I don't care who you are, but this set should be a cause for celebration for every Godzilla fan ever. Prior to this, the Showa Godzilla films have become some of the hardest ones to find in a physical format. And now, here they are, in one gigantic box set, or as I like to call it, the Godzilla Earth of Blu-rays. And yeah, $180 is pretty expensive, but why is that an issue? You get all 15 Showa Godzilla films, plus beautiful illustrations done by artists all over the world. So, what's the issue? I have a video planned on the Criterion Collection coming soon, so I don't want to go too in depth on my thoughts, but needless to say, I love this thing to death. It's awesome, and it's a great way to wrap up the final year of the monsters of the 2010s. So, in case you couldn't tell, this year was super awesome to be a Godzilla fan. We got 2 brand new movies, an onslaught of one of the greatest anime series of all time, and we got a box set of all 15 Showa era Godzilla films. What is there to complain about? 2019's Year of the Monsters has been an absolute blast, and this year truly cements how great of a time it is to be a kaiju fan. And that's it. That closes out the last year of the 2010s. If I can get real with you guys for a minute, I don't know what's going to happen in the 2020s. Not just for kaiju films, but for me as a person. I'll be graduating high school this summer, and from there, it'll be a door wide open of opportunities just waiting for me to dive right in and explore. To say that I'm scared is, admittedly, an understatement. This decade is where the rest of my life begins, and I don't know what's gonna happen. But either way, it'll be an eventful and incredible journey. This channel is still going into the 2020s if any of y'all are still wondering. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be uploading all sorts of content for you guys, making sure that every single video that I make will be bigger and better than the last one. So I hope that you guys will stick right by my side as we dive right on into the new decade. And with that, I have been Sam the Gigan fan, reminding you all to wash your hands and for you to have an incredible new decade.